Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you the part 2 of Is It Worth It with the Warstock vehicles. So last video we ended with the Bombushka, so let's go straight to the Starling. So the Starling is actually a bomber plane and it goes really slow, but thankfully it's a boost on the back which you can use to go faster. This aircraft is actually so slow that if you don't have the boost you can't actually take off. So the weapons on the Starling are a non-explosive machine gun and you also have homing missiles. Also, the handling on this thing is a little bit weird, but overall I think this plane is a really good bomber plane, but when it comes to everything else it's not really that good, so for this price I don't really think it's worth it. So next is the Rogue, which is actually really good for its price. This aircraft handles really well and is also incredibly fast. The Rogue can be fitted with homing missiles, explosive machine guns and also bomb bay doors. So for an all-round good aircraft and also a really cheap price, I'd say this is worth it. So now I have the Molotov, and this is also a vehicle that I can compare to the Hydra from the last video. So the speed and the handling of this thing are pretty similar to the Hydra, but the weapons are a little bit different. So both aircrafts have homing missiles, but the Hydra also has explosive cannons and the Molotov only has machine guns. So with the Molotov being a higher price, it is not worth it, and you could get a Hydra instead which is better and cheaper. So next is the Tula, which is probably one of the best bomber planes in the game. So there are 3 weapons on this plane. One of them is obviously the bombs, because it's a bomber plane. Other one is a minigun on the front, and the other one is a turret on the back which your friends can go in, or any other people can go in. The Tula also has some special abilities, one of them being a thrust, so you can take off from almost anywhere. The other one is you can land in water, like it is there, and the other is VTOL mode, so it can change from a plane to a helicopter. So even though it is really expensive, around 5 million, I'd say it's quite worth it because it has so many different features. So now we have the Ardent, which is probably one of the worst vehicles on here as well. The only thing special about it is it has a minigun on the front, or machine guns, whatever you want to call them, and it performs like a normal classic sports car. So the Ardent is hardly really used, but I suppose for a really small price, it's okay for what it is. However, this isn't really that worth it because you'll hardly use it, I think anyway. You might just use it, but it's not that good. Plus you could try and save up for something else. Next is the Night Shark, which is a heavily armoured vehicle which can take around 4 or 5 rockets, and also has machine guns on the front. It performs quite well and it's quite fast, quite easy to handle. And the special thing about the vehicle is you can actually have this on the back of it, the anti-aircraft trailer. If you have both of those things together, it would be almost 2.6 million, but I'd say this is worth it because you have an armoured vehicle, it's really heavily armoured, machine gun on the front, performs really well, and you have an anti-aircraft trailer on the back. So now we have the APC, which is another heavily armoured and weaponised vehicle. The armour in this can take around 5 to 6 missiles, and the special thing about this vehicle is that it can drive in water. It's actually really good on all terrain around the map. So the APC can be upgraded in the MOC, the Mobile Operations Centre, and it can be fitted with another turret, the SAM turret or the SAM turret. So the stock version comes with this mini tank on the top, which is really good. And if you choose to get the SAM turret, it's like a fast firing missile launcher. But it can only fire 50 to 60 rockets before we have to go back to the MOC to fit it with more. Also, if you want to switch between the weapons, so this turret here, the little tank, and the SAM turret, you have to pay each time. But overall, I think this tank, or APC, is definitely worth 3 million. So here we have the Dune FAV, which is an off-road vehicle with a machine gun on the front. And that's actually pretty much it. So for me, I can get it for free because I got the premium version of the game, like the whole game. But otherwise it's 1.1 million I think. So if it's free, I'd recommend getting it, but if not, then I don't recommend it at all. But actually one more thing, you can actually change this here, the machine gun, to a better machine gun or a grenade launcher, but that's it. So next is the half track, which is kinda like the Night Shark and the anti-aircraft trailer put into one, but cheaper. And like the Night Shark, it can be heavily armoured, and it has a machine gun on the top. And you actually have to buy that too. For a price range of 2.2 million, I'd say this is worth it. Next is the OPPRESSOR Mark 1, which is an absolutely incredible bike. So when you're riding the bike, these bits here can actually be changed to wings. So with a combination of the boost on the back and the wings, it can actually fly. It can't fly for too long, but if you control it well, it can. So moving on to the weapons of the Oppressor Mark 1, you can either have missiles on the front, homing missiles, but you have to research them from the bunker, or it just comes with normal machine guns. So overall, the Oppressor Mark 2 is probably better than this, but just because it's so cool, the fact that you can boost and then fly with wings on the normal bike is really good. So for this price here, I'd say it's worth it. Next is the weaponized tamper, which, considering the name, is actually only good for its weapons. So to begin with, it has a machine gun on the top, controlled by the driver, and you can also purchase I'm so stupid! Just normal missiles, that's the one. And you can also put rear mortars on the back, so they're kind of like little bombs that you just drop down. However, the missiles and the rear mortar only have a capacity of 20 each. And finally, the armour on this is absolutely terrible. Even with the extra heavy armour, it only takes like one missile, plus the windows are not bulletproof whatsoever. So even though the weapons are really good, I don't think you should waste your money on this vehicle when it's 2.1 million. Next is ballistic equipment, which is basically really heavy armour that also comes with a minigun. The actual armour can withstand loads and loads of bullets and also a couple of rockets, and the ammo for the minigun is absolutely infinite. However, the downsides to this are that you are very slow when wearing the armour, so if you're trying to kill other people, they can just run away easily. And you also have to pay $5,000 each time you want to use the equipment, and you have to wait 15 minutes if you want to use it again after you've just used it. And one more thing, to unlock this in the first place, you have to research it from the bunker, so even though you've got overpowered equipment on you, it's not really worth it, because people can avoid you easily. You have to pay and wait each time you use it, and it's going to take time to research it in the bunker. Next we have the Insurgents, which are all incredibly armoured vehicles. They're rocket proof, but not bulletproof. So the normal Insurgent is just an armoured vehicle, that's it, and you can't upgrade it to have more things, so it's not really worth it. And if you still want an Insurgent, you just save up for the Pickup Custom, which I'll talk about in a minute. This is the Insurgent Pickup, which is kind of the same as a normal Insurgent, but it has a turret on top. This is also a Pegasus vehicle, so it can't be upgraded, but if you do have an MOC, you can drive it in there to upgrade it to the custom version, but you do need certain research to upgrade certain things. The Pickup Custom can be made faster, have a 50 cal machine gun and have more armour, so if you want an Insurgent, this is the one to get. With all the upgrades it is expensive, but it's really good because it's hard for people to take it down, and the turret has good range, so it can get other people before they can get you. Overall, this is definitely worth it. Next is the Technical, which is just a pickup truck with a gun on the back. This vehicle is not armoured at all, and everyone inside and on the gun is very exposed to bullets and rockets. The gun on the back isn't that great either, so the Technical is not really worth it. This is the Ramp Buggy, which is absolutely stupid for its price. Almost $3.2 million for a rusty metal card and lift up cars in front of them. It's not that great at all, and please don't waste your money on this. And the same goes for this as well. Next is the Technical AQUA, which is exactly the same as a Technical, but it can go in water. It goes really slow in there, and there's not really much to do in the water anyway, so even with this upgrade, it's still not really worth it. So the Blazer AQUA here is another land and water vehicle, and it's actually quite good. I mean, handling and the speed are great after the upgrades in LSC, but then there's a machine gun on the front. It is not strong at all and only points directly in front, and because the driver uses it, you can't use your other weapons, making you really exposed to other players and making it almost impossible to defend yourself. So in the end, it is also not really worth it, and you do need a warehouse to buy this too. This is the armoured box fill, which is another terrible purchase if you get it. First of all, when it says armoured, it actually means it blows up from one rocket, but it does have slightly bulletproof windows. The vehicle also has a turret for others to use on the top. This is also crap because it can hardly aim up or down. Then you have the scoop on the front, which is actually the only good thing about this. So for $2.9 million, it's definitely not worth it at all. This is the Wastelander, which is another vehicle with hardly anything special about it. It does actually perform very well. The speed and handling is great, and it can go off-road well too. Another good thing is that people can actually jump on it and lean on the rails so they don't fall off, which is kind of a cool feature. So for $700,000, it doesn't really do anything special, but for what it does do, it's worth it. The Ruiner 2000 is another awful purchase, and it's really expensive too, for some reason. Anyway, the features on this car are that it has parachute on the I can't speak ever. On the top, which you can use a jump, missiles, and machine guns, and they're all quite cool except the parachute. Like, what's the point of having a parachute on the car? It just slows you down, and in GTA, landing a car after a big fall is fine, just not if you land upside down because you explode. But there's really no point for this, so for $5.7 million, it's really not worth it. The rocket VOLTIC is another complete waste of money. It just has a powerful boost on the back, but that's hard to use because if you're on roads in the city, you'll just crash easily. You might as well just get the Vigilante, which looks cooler, slightly less powerful so it won't crash a lot, and has a machine gun. The rocket VOLTIC is not worth it for that price anyway. So I'll just go through the rest quite quickly as the rest doesn't have many uses. So the Brickade is just a slightly armoured truck, it's not really worth it, hardly does anything at all. The Jet Sam is probably better than a normal cargo bob here, as the hook at the bottom is better. I really like finding one of these and then just taking random people's cars and putting them in random spots, it's really funny. And yeah, the Jet Sam has a longer hook, so it has a bit stronger, so it's a little bit stronger and it's easier to hook to cars. The Taurus Limo is just a gun on a limo, that's it, on slightly armoured but not worth 1.6 million. I'll talk about the Valkyrie in a second, and the Mule is just a truck, not worth it at all. So the Boxville, the Mesa or Mesa, I think just Mesa, and the prison bus are useless. Like, it just stores 11 people for that price, $550,000. Why? Just why? So I've gone down a little bit more here, and every single one you see here on this page is useless. It doesn't do anything. So the Valkyrie is another weaponized helicopter with explosive cannons for a passenger to use and a machine gun on both sides of the helicopter. The only trouble is with this helicopter is that the driver can only pilot the vehicle. So even though this is really good, something like the AQUA is probably better, so this isn't really that worth it. The Savage here is kind of the same, but it only has explosive cannons with homing missiles. But again, it'd probably be a bit... Why can I never speak, for God's sake? Probably be better to get something like the AQUA. There we go. The Duke of Death is just a slightly rocket and explosive proof vehicle, and it's also kind of speedy, but I wouldn't really waste my money on this. So we actually have 3 more vehicles here that are completely useless. So we have the Marshal, which is just a oh, what's the name for it? Monster truck, that's it. How did I forget that? So you've got the Marshal there, so doesn't really do anything, just a monster truck. Got a Dubster 6x6, doesn't do anything. I think people can sit in the back, but that's about it. And the Barracks, people can sit in the back there, and obviously passengers and the driver, but that's it. Now the Rhino tank is literally just what you expect from it, a huge cannon on the front, but it also looks like it's a gun on the front, but this is all actually like completely fake, it's not real at all. So if you don't have a facility and the Conjali tank with it, this is the tank to get. So the last thing on the list here, the Buzzard attack chopper. Now this, well, to end the video, let's just leave it with something so crap. So the missiles on this, the homing missiles, you got them, and you got machine guns as well, but what's the point in having that when you can literally get the Savage with the cannon and like also the homing missiles with it as well for around 200 grand more. And obviously if you want to save up more, you can get the AQUA, which I said for the Savage would be better than that. So yeah, this is not really worth it, and you could get something even better. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed and found this useful. Like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.